Smoke
medical
weed every day.
The following thoughts on Hoppe Hour represent Brian Hoppe and Fast It. Listener discretion is advised.
Live from Tampa Bay, you are tuned in to Hoppe Hour.
He's the voice of a generation that got screwed by the baby boomers. Welcome back to Hoppe Hour.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour starts in 4, 3, 2, Hoppe. Hoppe, Hoppe. This is Hoppe Hour with Hoppe.
What's happening? This is Hoppe Hour. Let's get right into it. On the Mount Rushmore of Tampa Bay radio, this guy would be there. Orlando Davis from the Orlando and the Freak Show on Wild 94.1 is sitting in on Hoppe Hour. What's up, bro?
Man, what up, Hip Hoppy? That's your street cred name now. You know that, right?
I love that name, and it gives me a lot of confidence, you know? I'm so good with that name. Like, when you first said it, I had to think, oh, wow, Hip Hoppy, that's cool.
Yeah, of course. I mean, around Wild, we always name people. If you're in this building, some people may have fractured the law or two.
Yeah.
So, we like to make sure you got another name to roll around just in case the law is listening.
Well, first of all, happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. It's been a good day. Everybody's been running around being nice to me today.
You know what I like is on your social media, you're not like over promoting it's your birthday. Like you shared a few things with people saying happy birthday, but there's some people on radio that they will like share every single person.
I've never been that dude. I've put some stuff up like emotionally. Like once you get kids and they kind of start showing you love and stuff like that, you want to kind of share it and make sure their love is seen. But I've never been the dude who wants to throw parties and rent out a club and be running around dealing with all that. Like we do that for a job. So you give me my birthday where I get a blessing where I come around the sun again. I'm good. I even today. I mean, I wouldn't have really mentioned it on the air, but we had J Ray, who is J-Lo and all of these stars, kind of go to for spiritual advisement. And she was like, I know it's your birthday and I got this for you. So she had gifts for me and everything else. So that kind of made it special. So it was a good day though.
I want to do something lit in 2 months because I will be turning 30 in September 3rd.
That's dirty 30, dog. That's
bro.
One of those you have to celebrate. Like,
I'm going off.
Yeah, come on. I mean, there's been some days that I've been just like, yo, I got to show out and head out to Vegas or Atlantic City or, like Bahamas or something like that. But, right now it's just, I'm an old dude, man. I could just sit around and chill.
The best part is it's a part of First Friday. My birthday is on a Sunday this year, but the 1st of September is on a Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be a party weekend.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, First Friday, first of all, like that's just a movie down there. And it's so funny because Q105 was like involved with it forever. And I was like, yo, all the people I know go down there and get drunk. And it doesn't seem like it's a 60s and 70s kind of party. And I'm like, everybody's down there at $5 and that, park and rec. And just ripping it. And so I have great times down there. So First Friday is definitely a lit situation.
You know what I like about Beasley is the events here feel like a party. You know what I mean? In other places, it was a little more corporate and professional. But here, it's like I was hanging out with Buckwheat at Circle K, and it was a blast.
Yes. First of all, Buckwheat is a turn up. Buckwheat's going to be mayor one day. Like we're committed that his sign can't say Broderick Scott, his legal name. It has to say vote for Buckwheat.
Yeah.
And he will win, like hands down.
He just needs one Lakers player to endorse him, and then he's good.
Yeah, he can get that. He'll definitely get like some of the Cowboys.
It's crazy. Whenever I was telling people this week that I was interviewing you, everybody is like, oh my God, I grew up listening to Orlando. Like, does that mean a lot to you to know that for especially my generation, the millennials that love hip hop, like, that people just adored your show and even now?
I love it. I mean, I tell people all the time, I learned from a long time ago that, it's not really about me. It's about the collective. There's people out there who love the music. There are people out there who hate the music but love the conversation. Yeah. There are people out there who love Meredith and who love Davi. Davi is now leaving the show. So that, has been a part of it too. So I always called it Radio Menudo. Menudo is the band that, is a Latin band that it was always in the 15, 16-year-old range. And then they would vote off somebody and somebody else would be brought on. And the band would always be able to continue with new members. That's how we've been able to do it with the Freak Show. I was the new guy when I first started. I mean, there was Flying Brian and there was Gordy and Paco and Corey, and they were on the show. Then Brian, got let go because he got popped smoking weed at Wild Splash. The first Wild Splash.
Wow.
He got popped and let go, and then they needed somebody to come in and host it, and so they moved me from afternoons, and I joined the Freak Show. So that's how it became the morning. It was the morning Freak Show already, and then they were like, listen, you were number one in afternoons. We're going to move you to the morning. Plus, you're up against people like, at the time, MJ and BJ, or MJ and Bubba and all of these people. And they're like, we can't just have a random collective. We got to have a name. And the name we're using is Orlando and the Freak Show. So that kind of ruffled feathers of people who were like, yo, we were already here. And this dude comes in, now you're going to put his name up on the marquee and stuff. So that ruffled some feathers. And so some people had to be moved around and stuff. But I mean, we've had about 4 different ideations of the show, and it's just always, gotten better. What got you into radio? An internship. I did an internship in Tallahassee when I was at 101.5. It was an incredible station, legacy station, and I got a chance to go in there and kind of help with overnights. And the morning guy was the PD, and he walked in. He's like, "Are you the guy that's been talking on my station all night?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, if you want to do it for a job, get an internship, get your paperwork together, and come and see me." And I came in the next day, like, what do I need to do? And I never left. What's that moment like where the guy's like, hey, do you want to keep on doing work? Like, does that give you like an immediate moment of like confidence to hear that from a boss? I mean, it was somebody who was just like, noticed that I was comfortable on the air, but being comfortable on the air, this, being a new guy on the radio, everybody comes in like, oh, let me run it. I know I've done this a million times, because people are personable with music. We play it in our cars. We get friends over at the house. We play a playlist. We stream some stuff. Everybody thinks they could be a DJ. So nobody is really shy at the beginning. He had to tell, me how to shut up. He was like, learn how to shut up and I'll teach you how to talk. And he said that to all of our part-timers. It was probably 14 of us in the room at the time. And probably 12 of them quit. They're like, he ain't going to talk to me like that. And they walked out, and 2 of us stayed. And the 2 of us are still in radio now. Big Woody Hayes up in Tallahassee. He is the voice of the Seminoles. He's also on mornings on TNT Country. And I'm on mornings here. The 2 people who stayed in the room who were like, no, disrespect me. Tell me I suck. Tell me I suck, and tell me how I can get better. And he did that. How would you say your show has changed over the years? Like, do you ever go back and listen to old tapes and you're like, oh my God, the show is so different then? It's a lot different. I mean, just in the climate. There was a time when you could get away with doing a lot on the air because the community standard that we live by with the FCC was just a lot different. People weren't afraid to hear certain things on the air. And now with cancel culture, with, businesses and everybody having a voice, with social media, with people who, your detractors, when they would call the radio station and say, hey, I don't like what you guys just said, they would be comfortable just saying that to you and making you have a personal responsibility to kind of check yourself. Now it's, okay, let me make a campaign. Let me make a hashtag. Let me make a viral moment. And it could end up losing people jobs and stuff. So you had to break the bone and reset it. And it's always going to be about content. It's going to be about communication with the listeners. But there's just different nuances. That whole way we used to put the curse words back into the Eminem songs. Yeah. Like that ain't happening no more. We're not dirtying up records now because they all are so dirty now in hip hop that we can't really, they're not as bleached like they used to be when we would get them. What was the first moment when you heard Eminem? Do you remember where you were? Oh man, when I first heard him, that was on like a wake up show mixtape from King Tech and Sway and Tech in San Francisco. And Sway was like, he was like, I got this kid, and this kid is messing with Dre, blah, blah, blah. And it was insane. It was just a freestyle too. And I was like, yo, this dude is nice. And it's always been about the lyricism with us. I mean, a lot of the relationships we've had throughout Wild with J. Cole, with Eminem. I mean, Eminem basically, when the Bucks had like Derek Brooks and all of those guys, Ron Day. I mean, it was like these guys, there was a young lady by the name of I'm dating myself, but Ashley Mance, I believe. They were twins. And there was somebody in Brandon who basically shot through their bedroom wall, and the babies were laying there. They thought the man would be laying there, the actual dad, and the bullet hit one of the twins. And she died. And she died laying next to her twin sister. And we were like, man, Eminem's coming to town. Let's do something. let's throw a softball game and let's just charge people to come out so we can raise some money for this little girl.
Yeah.
And the Buccaneers signed up. They played. We had artists there, and Eminem was like the head of one of the other teams. And I mean, it was incredible because he can't play. He doesn't have athleticism, but he started the team fight. He went out to the mound and hit somebody with a glove, and then it all broke out. But it was awesome because we raised like $100,000 for him, and it was really dope though, because you saw that was when we finally found out about Haley Jade, his daughter. And he was like, bro, I would not miss this. And it was just from interviewing him on air. And he was doing that because the guy who was running Interscope at the time had a summer home here. His name was Step Johnson.
Yeah.
And Step would hear us, and he's like, these kids are playing every Eminem record, but they're not playing the versions we're sending them. They're putting ass and bitch back into the records. And we're like, yeah, you can't take that part out. And so he's like, they're dirtying them up. And so he loved us. And every time M had an availability, it would be, he's doing Hot 97, he's doing Power 106, and he's doing Wild in Tampa. That would be the three stations that would be the three-prong attack. So
how does that make you feel that you were with the names of the big names from New York? You know what I mean? Like, that has to be a moment where you go, wow, we are doing something right. For example, I interviewed you 5 years ago, and you were talking about how you guys made, I think it was Welcome to Tampa.
Yeah.
And like, that's got to be a cool feeling, man, to like know that you're making content for Tampa.
I mean, it's fun. I think it's pretty much always going to be reflective, at least while I'm in charge of the station, it's going to always be reflective of the culture in the city.
Yes.
You never want to be a legendary station that, you know, starts creating and dictating culture. And at least in my position, a lot of people are comfortable with that. But I think it's much better of a situation if you look at what the city is doing and you reflect it on a larger scale. That means that you're not taking yourself more seriously than the people who are listening. And so if they love it, then, you know, like the Bucks, we did, you know, Lil John, let's go. I just called John. I say, hey, John, you know, Tom Brady keeps saying, let's go after he puts up a deal after the win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so you got the song with Trick. I'm like, can you send it to me? And he's like, I got you. And then like 4 days later, I had a hook that was done with his let's go, all you Tampa Buccaneers, let me know.
Oh, my God.
And so everybody's like, how'd you get that? And then people got mad at me, though. They were like, yo, how you going to do a song about Tampa and not include Tampa artists? And I'm like, I've done 4 of them. I've done songs for everything else. I've incorporated Tom G and
I love that guy.
And, you know, I've done Crazy with we've done all, Welcome to Ray J. We've done all of these songs. This one time I picked somebody outside the market because it was indicative of what Tom Brady's been using. And they were just like, I mean, the local hip hop artist scene got immensely mad at me and disrespectful online. And I was just like, I don't really want to do it anymore. I mean, I reached out to guys. I was like, where were you when I did Uptown Puck for the Lightning? And they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, I put that record together. Nobody got mad that I didn't put any artists on that. And I was like, or when I did the Rays, Welcome to, you know, the Trop Boys thing when we were winning at the Tropicana Field.
Yeah.
I'm like, when I did that, which was a remake of Travis Barker and his whole drum kit. And I'm like, what happened to that? And they were like, oh, well, you know, like, I mean, but this is football. So I'm like, okay, so you guys want to be about the city when it's the sports you like. But everything that the city does, we do some sort of song or some sort of celebration or some sort of something. And it's never about me promoting myself like as an artist or a rapper or any of that. Like, all of us can rhyme cat and hat, but I'm not trying to promote myself. And these guys all wanted to promote themselves. So they missed out on an opportunity. I get it, but I'm never going to be built like that.
I think that's the problem with social media is people can have the right to think that way, but that's just completely fake news.
Yeah.
And there's a weird thing where you can read the meanest tweets and the meanest Facebook comments, and it's like they would never say that to your face. Like, if they were to walk in, they would want a selfie, you know, like social media has made radio weird.
It has. I mean, not everybody has a voice, but not everybody really knows how to use it or deserves to use it. So, but I don't really get caught up in my feelings about it. I didn't get mad at the artists when they did it. I was like, I understand you're in a different position. You're in a promotions position. You want to get pub. I got pub. I'm on the air every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, but this is my chance to show the city some love. I'm like, I've always told people anything you're going to see my name attached to, it's going to be because I owe for this job that they've given me. I owe for this career. I mean, I'm raising daughters. I'm going to send my daughters to college one day. Like, I mean, who knows how that's going to, how that was going to happen without this whole thing that the city has given me. And so when I got here, I was like, I want to make sure that I have a charitable effort, like the toy drive, that I can give back to the city, that I can do certain things. So when we win championships, and I mean, hell, the name Tampa Bay, that came from Wild.
Yeah.
Like that
really?
that whole thing, there was no billboards up, there was nobody saying
Hell
it
yeah.
and whatever. And then we said Tampa Bay with the mix that we did, with the Super Bowl, the first run. And, I mean, those are just things that we don't want anything for it. And we don't even want the credit. But I'll tell you, that's where it came from.
How did you guys come up with the name? I mean, it's pretty simple to come up with. If it was just Tampa Bay.
Bro, it's like the same way hip-hoppy.
Yeah.
We busted nuts, third leg Greg, we've all had people who are Buckwheat, Buckwheat was Broderick before he got, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we give people names and stuff, and we have a wordplay kind of situation here. Meredith, everybody knows at the beginning of your podcast, you heard bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
That's it. But I had Meredith start doing it, and I was like, oh, Meredith, you got the mare horn.
Oh my God, I
everybody
love
listens to that now, and they're like, yo, I love the mare horn. I have kids running up to me with their parents like, tell them what you love. Mare, 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 mare. I love the mare horn. So it's like we just play on words. That's a hip hop kind of jargon. That's a way. And so for us to not be the pop station, we're the hip hop influenced station.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay was just it. That was just one morning. I just said, you know what, man, they're going to have to start calling us Tampa Bay, because look at this. We got the Rowdies. We got this. Next thing you know, For the Bay Clothing put out that Tampa Bay shirt, and then it became a thing.
I think she is one of the best co-hosts in Tampa radio. Like the other day, she walked in and was talking about going to Meat Market with Roxanne with MJ's show 2 weeks ago. And it was the funniest radio because I knew they worked together. And she can sort of say things to MJ that other people couldn't,
They get out and they get lit. Like if Roxanne is very buttoned up. She's done news, done sports, and now she's, a part of the MJ show. And she's just polished through and through, and just a class kind act. And then you have Meredith, who is, I don't even look at Meredith as a co-host. I mean, I look at her as a thriving personality. I mean, she's somebody who's worked her way through all of these different outlets through Tampa, but she has a following. I mean, we tease her about the mommy blogs and all that stuff, but realistically, like, she has a network of people who move how she doesn't wield them like she's in control, but she has an influence over these people. So, those ladies, man, they get out and they get lit. They work hard, so they got to play hard a little bit,
I love going out and getting lit, but I'm jealous of people that are able to do it on work nights. I need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I could not go out. Like when I saw that they were making posts at like 9 or 10 p.m., I'm like, Roxanne's got to get up in like 6 hours. I couldn't do it.
That's still early. I mean, like there was an old school way that we used to make it because we had to party way too much in Wild's heyday. And we had to get up and do the morning show. And it was ibuprofen. That was the only way that saved our lives. I would go out and get wasted, and it would be like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I got to be up at worst at 5.
Yeah.
And so I would take my little 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, and I would fall asleep with a little bottle of water next to the bed. And then I'd wake up 2.5 hours later and be thirsty as hell. But while you're sleeping, that ibuprofen works on your head and your stomach.
Yeah.
So then you just wake up thirsty and you hit the ground running. I still only get 4.5 hours of sleep a night.
I need to get on that level because I feel like I sleep a little too much. Like I go to bed at like 8 and then I'm up at like 4:30.
Yeah, that's bruh. I mean, are you getting laid? Because ain't nobody sexing at 8.
Dude, I'm on a 5-month dry spell.
Really?
Oh man, it's killing me.
You mess around and sneeze, you might wet this whole room up.
I know. I was thinking about it the other day. I went on a run in the fall where I did really well. And then it was like the universe was like, okay, you're going to have a good fall, early winter. And then it's like,
yeah. I mean, listen, droughts happen. It's not the definition of a man. But I'll tell you, like, it's really hard to stay. I mean, I'm single. So I'm out here, meeting folks. I'm in these streets.
Yeah.
And it's hard to holler at folks when you're like, I'm trying to go to bed at 8. Like,
I know.
I can't. I mean, and my trainer is like, yo, like, you really need to get 8 hours of sleep. I'm like, bro, I can't. I'm like, and then I saw Steve Harvey's like, nobody rich sleeps 8 hours. And I'm like, perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's perfect for me. That is perfectly stated. And I ain't rich, but I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better. So you can't sleep your day away. you know.
Would you say he's one of your influences, Harvey?
Nah, I mean I'm a fan of his.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his, but I mean he does a lot of the things that I can't do.
Like what?
Stand-up comedy.
Oh,
I mean,
man,
he's incredible at it, you know. And I mean, he has one character, but he plays that character absolutely well. And his radio stuff, I mop him up. I mean, you know, and I mean, I did. He was on the beat.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, ratings wise, yeah, everybody they put up against us from that station is. That's one of my heartbreaking things about Tampa, because there was a station I loved. It was an alternative station, adult alternatives, called Star 95.7.
Yeah.
And Star 95.7 was one of the dopest stations around, and they sacrificed it so they could put an urban station on it to try and take our ratings down to help out the other stations in the cluster. And so they lost some really good radio talent there. Christy Knight was on that station for a long time.
She's a legend.
Yeah. And so it was, I mean, but it was fire. Like, it was just a great station to listen to. And they got sacrificed, and it ended up with the beat never beating us. So it was really like for naught. But I'm a fan of what Steve Harvey does as a talent. But when he was doing radio, that wasn't his thing.
Is it weird, or not weird, but seeing MJ in the hall and knowing you had radio wars with him 20 years ago?
Nah, man. I've always run my career and kind of my existence that I was going to work with somebody else at some point that I might have had beef with. So if I got beef with you, I'm gonna let you know.
Oh, you do
know
that.
What it is, but I'm not gonna ruin a bridge that I might have to go over one day.
This town is so small, bro.
It is. I mean, you worked over there at Cox. You see my relationship with Calta.
Yeah.
Me and him are fam, and we compete vehemently for listeners.
Hell yeah.
But I also celebrate him. I mean, when they got the Lightning deal and he posted that up, I'm clapping up under that. Or Melanie Martin, who's over there, who I absolutely adore. I mean, a lot of people don't understand. Calta and her came up to the Toy Drive Tower and dropped off a boatload of stuff. I mean, bikes, cards, like toys. I mean, they unloaded so much stuff. And he called me. He was like, bro, what time you going to sleep? Because I want to catch you. I'm at a gig right now. Me and Melanie are headed over there. They had gone out and just bought a bunch of stuff just to donate. It wasn't like, hey, we want to mention some sponsors, or hey, we want to do this. It was just out of the love. So, I mean, I don't really think that just because we all got different logos on our checks, we got to try and like be disrespectful to each other. Now, there's some disrespectful people out there.
There are.
There's some people that I ain't just a pushover. Like, they call me the radio Brian Gumbo. They're like, everybody likes Orlando. He's the safe black guy. That's what Calta always picks on me about. But there's some people out there that I don't really rock with. I mean, there's radio people like that. I mean, like, everybody knows the whole history with, other personalities that I don't
think
really
we all
rock
know
with.
which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I just, I don't wish bad on them. I feel bad that they're going through what they're going through, because to see them go for the height to the low. But I try not to even say people's name, because I know that my voice gives them a little bit more energy.
Do you think that's karma at all, to like be at the highest of highs, and then once you are a bit older and in your 50s, it comes crashing down?
I believe in karma, but I also just believe in just treating people right. And I've always heard that there were some dealings that weren't necessarily right.
Yeah.
And I think that might boomerang back on you, And I can't pass judgment because I haven't done everything correctly. But when people talk about my dealings with the station, my management of the station, and my management of life just as being a man, there aren't too many people who have a problem with me. If you see somebody who has a problem with me, it's because either they got fired, which sometimes I can't control and sometimes I can.
Yeah.
But if I've had to let somebody go, then they've gone out there and thrown salt on my name. But I'm like, I took a check away from them. But that comes with the job, but not just being on the air, but being the kind of program director and the person responsible for that.
I feel like if a person throws salt on your name, it's not necessarily a compliment, but they're talking about you. You know what I mean? Like, you got to look at words and be grateful that people are talking about you. I mean,
if you're on their mouth or on their lips or on their breath or whatever, then that means that, you're doing something, you're in the game. But I mean, there in this world now where people's opinions are given a lot of value, you said like social media, some people like don't need to really be out loud. Everybody has a voice now.
Oh yeah.
And so, your detractors now have an audience. And sometimes it's a big audience. I mean, there's somebody he just got dismissed, but he's suing me again.
Oh, him.
Yeah. There's a local DJ who believes that I have blackballed him across the country. I don't even say his name anymore because it's not even worth it. Plus, every time somebody writes me about it, because the dude like puts up stuff on social media.
Dude, I've seen that. I was trying to figure out how to bring that up. There is this post. He must be dropping thousands to have that promoted on the top of it.
He's promoting it, and the judge is even like, yo, so you're calling this slanderous, but you're promoting it to a city. So that means that if whatever was said, if it was slanderous, you want more people to hear the slander so you could make the damages bigger. Yeah. And it keeps getting dismissed and thrown out. And I just got word that they'd like, oh, he's going to, appeal. And I'm like, bro, I haven't been to court once. The lawyers from the company are handling it. Ultimately, I've never blackballed anybody. I think it all stems from, actually this guy who I won't say his name, but anybody who can Google it can find it. But the guy is basically saying that he has gone on job interviews and people have not hired him. And I'm like, and somehow that's me. So because he blamed me for it, I did a Tom G. Tom G did a new record and he sent out the instrumental to a whole bunch of like key people. And he's like, I want you to do a freestyle over this record just to help me promote my new joint.
Yeah.
And I did one. I was like, I'm celebrated and hated. I'm the reason this so-and-so didn't make it.
Yeah.
And because I said that in a freestyle, he said, so you're admitting it.
Yeah.
That you blackballed me and that you kept me from getting hired in L.A. and New York and New Orleans and Saskatchewan or wherever it was. I just got blamed for everybody.
Or maybe he's just not good enough and is in denial.
It's a possibility. But he got time. So the legal process is there for everybody. I'm happy that he hasn't been able to game the system, but who knows? The third time might be the charm.
Dude, there is this thing in the Tampa radio culture. There has been so many lawsuits over the past quarter century. It's insane how many lawsuits has been in this town.
Lawyers get caked up here, man. They know. I mean, back in the day, it was crazier though. Like it was full on war between people.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it's always been. I've always gotten love from. Other company. Jack Harris and
legend, bro. I saw him.
Legend.
I saw him every day when I was working at WDAE, and he is just one of the coolest dudes ever.
I learned something when we did a charity thing. Like Jack was like, he was in the bag. He just loved his beers, and he was on it. He was on it, and I'm looking at him like, yo, like as a person who idolizes him, I'm like, I don't want him to get. Like, I can go up there with you and help you if you need, like, maybe pick up some of the weight because he was gone. He got up there right behind that lectern and kicked into Jack Harris mode.
Oh, it's
he
the
was
best.
like, I'm like, yo, he ain't even slurring no more. Like, he was slurring standing next to me. He went up there on the mic under the lights and all of a sudden became Jack Harris who sat next to the mayor every day. Like, he was just so on point. And then he did the entire 20-minute type of presentation or whatever, came back down there and was like, I'm like, this bitch turned it on and off like that. That was just, that was where my level of, that went up times 10.
I'll never forget. One time I was in the restroom and I was at the urinal and Jack Harris comes to the one next to me and I go, good morning, Jack. How's your morning going? And he's like, I'm taking a piss. It was just the funniest thing.
Did you look? Tell the truth. Did you look?
I did not look.
Did you look?
I did not look, but it was funny because it was like, oh my God, Jack Harris is right next to me. It was a very bizarre moment. As a radio geek, you're like, oh my God, it's crazy.
Funny. I used to always ask people because Special Ed, who used to be on our show, was taking a piss in the bathroom and Hulk Hogan was here.
Oh my God.
And he was like, I totally looked. I was like, no, you did. It's like, so every time somebody's peeing next to him, I'm like, yo, did you look? Did you look?
To be honest, that's not that good of a chance to look because everyone's seen it already.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I did watch that tape.
Oh yeah.
I did.
That tape was all I'm going to say, and then we'll move on. My favorite moment was when I think they had ribs or something before they were making it, and she was taking off the shirt and about to do some pleasures, and he was like, I don't feel so good. I feel like I had ribs earlier or something like that. It's the funniest thing.
That was a hard video to watch because
Yes.
I love her.
She's a
so much.
princess. I've gone out with her. She's awesome.
Absolutely. Like Ralphie May, who is one of my closest friends we lost, and just that even solidified me and Calta even more because of their relationship. So he would come to town and he would come to do an interview with us, but he'd be staying at Mike's house, and so Mike would drive him here to do the interview.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he would sit in, and it's like, it was just that kind of connection. A lot of people didn't know behind the scenes, but he came in one morning, and Ralphie was just like against that DJ, and he was like, man, he's like, he's like, I heard you're gonna take out his wife, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I was like, no, she's a friend of mine. I was like, but I don't think he likes the fact that we're cool, because they were like breaking up or whatever, or had broken up, and she called the hotline. And so I put her through, and Ralphie's like, "Hey, so what you doing, Miss B?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Nothing." He's like, "You want to come to my show?" She's like, "I'll come with Orlando." And he's like, Orlando
man.
just got asked on a date by Mrs. Bubba. No, whatever. So yeah, it was. I mean, trust me, it's been a way that you could be disrespectful, but I've never chose that violence.
Funniest thing, 7 years ago on Calta's cruise, Ralphie May was there for a week, and it was Bert Kreischer and people from the Calta show. One of the most fun weeks of my life. And I was trying to be cool, and I'm at the bar with him, and I was like, yo, I'd love to have you on my podcast sometime. And he goes, fuck no, baby. I'll buy you as many beers as you want, but I'm not doing your fucking podcast. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Was that when he got sick on the boat? Because I know when he got sick on the boat and he ended up like he wasn't. I mean, because he was stuck here for a while afterwards because he couldn't travel.
That might have been it. Because a year later he passed away to the date of the.
He got back here and he did a show specific. He was only doing shows here because he couldn't travel.
Yeah,
and he did like a benefit for the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
He did so much love for the hospital because they took such good care of him. And he was popping in doing stuff all the time because he was here, I want to say, for like a good 4-5 weeks or maybe even more. And I remember he came in with us and he would always bring kind. Like he would bring Listerman strips or THC strips or whatever. And he would come in and first thing he would say is, hey, I got a little something for you, baby. And he would give me a little strip. And he's like, give about 15 minutes and we're going to have some fun. And we go on the air and we'd be listening to him intently. And then all of a sudden we would just be like, blah, 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 like we'd be gone.
Dude.
And he would wreck the room with just some strips of THC and kill it.
I think he did the same thing to Calta when he was doing afternoons. Calta once, he said this a lot on air, but one time he told me that he was doing like a live read and he just didn't know what he was talking about in the middle of it.
That's when he does those strips were potent. I used to go to LA and he'd be like, man, how long you here? And I was like, I'm here for like 3 days. He's like, I got you. I got a package. I'm going to leave it for you at the front. He would leave it at the front and I'd go up to my room and there'd be all kind of stuff in it, and it's just, that's love.
Do you like that type of high? For me, I like knowing where I am. I don't like sinking like that.
I mean, I'm definitely an indica dude.
I love indica. Like,
get me in the couch and let me lean in. I'm good. I mean, the sativas and all of that stuff that kind of is just so light and it's, I like the full body joint. But I also, I'm a big proponent of it and I'm a legal card carrier.
Me
so,
too.
I mean, it's all love. But I haven't gotten into the edibles just because the edible is just too much of a body deal. And it's really hard because if you're a big dude like me and you tell me it's some love in the cookie, I'm going to eat the whole cookie when I should probably only eat a corner of it because it's potent. And so I go way too far every time it's an edible situation because, I eat.
The only edible for me that doesn't wreck with my mind is the fast-acting gummies at Curaleaf.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I can have like 15 or 17 of them and go out and I'm trying to figure out where we are as like a planet about talking about that plant. You know what I mean? Like I'm more comfortable now than I was like 5 years ago, but it's crazy that like there are people that will listen to this conversation of us talking about our medical card usage and judge.
There are people out there who, think about it. When you used to be in a concert and you would smell kind, like, if you're at Dave or if you're at, Snoop or whatever and you smell it, there are people out there who would judge then. But now that it's legal, That's what freaks me out. It's like if I'm sitting on my balcony and I'm at my townhome and somebody's taking their trash out and they look up, they're like, wow, that's pretty potent there. And they're judging you because they smell you medicating at your house, not driving. This is where they tell you to do it. And people still got stuff to say. So I don't think anyone's ever it's never going to be a non-issue, because until people die off who were against it and then the new kind of realm kicks in, it's going to always be a tug of war. Even when, Morgan & Morgan's money kicks in, we finally get it into a recreational state here. It's still going to be, if they smell you loud when you walk in the building, even though it's totally legal, it's still going to be a problem.
Yeah. I learned recently that there's times if you smoke weed, you might think the smell's not on you, but it's completely on you.
Oh, it's totally on you. Yeah, I have a way of traveling, especially if I'm traveling New York to L.A.
Yeah,
or like across country or here to L.A., which I go a couple times a year. I'll hot box it in my car, and then I would mess around and be too loud, and on the plane I would hear comments. So now I don't do it in the car. I'll just be out on the parking garage out there on the top and just do it out there, at least in open air. And then by the time I get to the plane, I'm still relaxed because I just want to sleep on the plane. I don't want free drinks. I don't want peanuts. Like the fact that adults go snap crazy over a bag of peanuts on a plane. If you skip a person's row and don't give them nuts and you watch them wild out, that's a damn shame. I look at that and I'm like, yo, who are you? Are you 5? Like, you're a 45-year-old man, and you're like, please, can I please get some Twisters or Cheetos or whatever? And it's like, yo, man, bro, like you probably had a meal before you got on the plane. If not, you getting off. I don't need your little bag of peanuts. So I sleep. I tell the lady, don't wake me up. If it's first class, they're like, but you got drinks. I'm like, man, give them somebody else. I puff out, and then I get on the plane and I sleep and I land and I wake up when the gear hits the ground.
I'm so jealous. I'm saying this as if it's annoying, but I'm flying out to Illinois in 2 months to see everybody that I grew up with for my 30th birthday.
Yeah.
And I'm already not excited at all about the plane ride because I'm so tall. You know what I mean? I have no room in there. But the
Get
thing
you one
is,
of the exit row joints.
I am.
Got the longer legs.
That's what I'm doing. And puffing before going on a plane is so much better than drinking, because then you got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the airplane or in the middle of the ride. And
I never pee on planes.
I have this weird thing. I pee a lot, because I drink a lot. Like I'm drinking energy drinks and water that I can't go on a plane and
But see, that's because you you just turning 30, but realistically you look like 15. Like, you know what I'm saying? You just look like a tall kid at basketball camp.
Yeah.
So you drink a lot of this craziness that I ain't even dealing with. Like, all that sugar in that? Hell no, it would kill me dead.
How old do I look? Because I have people think that I'm like 20.
You look probably, and I would give you 20, 21.
I love
that. You look 21 and high, though. Your eyes are very low.
I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about, Orlando. I don't know. I didn't sleep the best last night. That's what it was.
You don't look, you're carrying it well, so you're going to hold on to that youth.
I know. I actually went to a beach bar with my mom a few weeks ago, and I left my license in the car, and she would not give me the drink. No. She did not give me the drink. I think she got some power from doing it. Like she felt like it was authority, because I'm like, come on.
That's a parental authority. Yeah, you got to flex it where you can. Yeah, definitely.
When it's all said and done, how do you want people to remember your time in Tampa radio?
Oh, man. That I was entertaining, that I loved it, that I wasn't doing it as a job.
Yeah.
If you could tell when people are doing it for profit, and you could tell when people are balling out and then they get some sort of status and then they pull back from doing stuff.
Yeah.
People see me show up and stuff, and most of the stuff I don't get paid either. I mean, you'll see me. I have some big time hosting gigs that I do, and when they sit down and talk about budgets, I'm like, just throw that back into whatever y'all need. I'm like, Joy of Giving that I do with Titus O'Neil every year. I haven't asked for a dime for that, because it's like I owe every time. I feel like I should be up there. Like I'm up there with the mayor and the sheriff and the police chief and all that, so I get to know these people. And WWE, who's shooting him the whole deal. But It's the fact of giving away 30,000 backpacks or giving away 6 cars to single moms or doing all that. I mean, we're getting ready to do the back to school bash, 30,000 backpacks fully loaded at Ray J. I don't get a dime for that.
Yeah.
But it's just being involved in it because A, my audience is there, and B, I owe for the blessings and all of the stuff that I've been given for this job. And so I will always be available to do some stuff on the free.
That's what I love about Tampa radio is for all the radio wars over the years, whenever there's like a hurricane or an event or whatever, this bay comes together and really takes care of each other.
They do. I mean, even way back when everybody was at the real like wars,
Yeah.
the engineers were rocking with each other because you got an engineer over here that's on this station competing against this one, and they blow a tube or a fuse or something. They're going to immediately reach out to the other people, and because the engineers kind of got that courtesy, and they're like, "Yo, I need an XJ5." It's like, man, I'm ordering one, but do you have one? He's like, "Yeah, I got one. I'll run it over." It's like that, and I mean, and it's the same way. I remember when we were going through all of the pandemic craziness, and everybody was loading up on ammo.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find ammo, and a cow to hit me was like, "Man, what you looking for?"
Yeah.
And he pulled up with a couple boxes
Yeah.
and bow, and we're like, "Okay, So I mean, it's that kind of courtesy between folks that really matters. And I think Tampa radio has always been the hierarchy of like personalities, but those personalities have clashed. But I think that kind of brotherhood of it has always been major key.
So growing up in Gary, Indiana, how did you transition from Gary to Tampa?
There was a stop in Tallahassee in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that just got me like all into the fly. I came down here and I thought I was going to be able to have the same energy I had in Indiana. And I thought football was going to be the path until I realized that y'all are built different down here. If you played football in Florida and this heat, you are
a beast.
You are a beast. And I was up there in soft Indiana that was cold. And I came down here thinking I was going to run it. And I'm like, bro, they out here doing 2-a-days and it's 90 degrees. I'm like, kill y'all self. I'm done. And, but Tallahassee, I didn't want to leave Tallahassee. Tallahassee was golden to me. Like I did alternative rock for 4 years. I did top 40 for 4 years. And then I moved, and the person who ran that initial station, the guy who woke up that morning and said, "Hey, learn how to shut up and I'll teach you how to talk."
Yeah.
That guy moved down here and worked over at it used to be called Love 101.5. And he was there. It was Love 101.5 before it was hot. And he basically came down and they said, "Hey, we're getting ready to start this station. And we need some people." And he was like, "Yeah, I got a guy up in Tallahassee that's all about it." And I came down here and interviewed for like 4 hours. And then when I left, I had a job.
Did you ever have any people that were trying to get you to leave Wild? Like, have you ever had any offers?
Yeah. I had a few. I mean, I have my agent now because back in the day, one of the best air personalities, Tom Rivers,
yes,
who used to be here at QRK, and he was our market manager for a while too. He gave me his agent because Hot 97, Barry Mayo, who was running Hot 97 at the time, was just getting rid of Star and Buck Wild, and then he needed another morning show, and so I went up and interviewed with him, and they were like, "You need an agent because they're going to be talking about things that you have no idea." Like,
yeah.
I joined here. I took a backwards move from Tallahassee to Tampa. So I was making I was PD there. So I was making like 45. I started here and it was like 35.
Yeah.
So, I didn't understand somebody offering you $768,000 a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, but tick bonuses and all these things that they know about in New York, I had no idea. So I had to take representation, and I still have her to this day because she's like, I mean, that's 24, 23 years later, and I still have her because she's, literally like a mom to me.
It's bizarre. That Buck Wild show, there's nothing online of any air checks of it. And I heard they were the biggest show in New York City.
They beat Stern.
Yeah.
They beat Stern. But they also, Star and Buck Wild, but it was more Star, he did a bit after Aaliyah died. When Aaliyah passed away and he played, when he was doing the news of it, he was playing plane crash audio.
Yeah.
With screams and stuff like that. And Jay-Z and a whole bunch of people who were really close to Aaliyah reached out to Hot 97. They said, you don't understand what just happened.
Yeah.
He got to go. and he had to go. I mean, and that was the strength of hip hop back in the day. Hell, Puffy, has had a lot of rumors coming out recently, but back in the day, Wendy Williams was on Hot 97, and she was talking about the fact that Puff was kind of like, in the closet, and he called up to Hot and was like, yo, she got to go, and they fired her. Like, that was just a different cachet back in the day. That's why I'm saying, like, that was a different time. Now it's more on the social media and the masses, and not just the stars having the power.
He got weird too, because from what I've read online as a radio geek reading about radio, didn't he like threaten DJ Envy's daughter too?
I don't know about that one, but I know he's got like some podcasting things that he does now, and he still tries to kind of be that bad boy kind of thing. But back in the day when he had the power, when he beat Stern, that put Hot 97 on a different plateau, and it put him on it as a talent. But it didn't last.
I think that's one thing you've done perfect is you haven't burned bridges. You never went to that type of smut for content,
I mean, we've been lucky. I remember I had to do a thing at the Tampa Club with like some at-risk youth, and it was all young ladies, and they were doing like a Halloween lock-in, and I was asked to come and speak to them and like read them some horror stories or whatever, like some scary stories. And it was probably like maybe 30 like 16, 17, 15-year-old girls who were staying the night up there. And Mike Collada, who used to run QIK for us, who's an absolute gem. That dude is like one of my brothers to the end. And we all make up a crew called the Bacon Boys, by the way. So it's Calta, it's Perry, it's Collada, it's all of us. We go eat and usually go to Council Oak.
I've seen that before.
Eat their bacon. So the Bacon Boys are definitely in effect. But he told me, he's like, only you could have porn stars on the air this morning at 8 a.m. doing all the things that they were doing in the studio.
Yeah.
And then at 7 o'clock be trusted with 30 preteen or teenage girls in here in this kind of setting. And it wasn't just me. There were handlers and everybody there. But he's like, most people can't do both of those things where they excel at both things. And I took that as a keep doing that. Stay in your lane on each side. They know you here, and I can go on the air and do some crazy stuff here, but they don't exclude each other from your path.
And also, working in radio, you get to see the human side of girls and guys in porn. You see the action on video, but then you see that there's a human who's got a real name. And that's what I think is cool about radio, is meeting everybody. When I was at the Bone, if there were girls on Drew's show or Calta's show, it was cool like to see the human side and talk to them.
I mean, there's a lot of the large stars back in the day, because I mean, now it's like everybody's doing their own content. But back when they were doing, real shoots and stuff, I mean, you're talking Nikki Benz and and all of the Lisa Ann's and all that. So they would come through, especially on that little porn convention night moves thing that used to happen here. They would come through, and it'd be a whole gang of them, and it was so funny because most of the girls that I dealt with back in the day, even like my ex-wife, they'd be like, why do you hang out with these porn chicks? And they're so dirty and they do this and blah, 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 blah. And now move it 20 years here and you see everybody has an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And everybody's shooting content and they're, charging it. And so that's like $5.99. You get to see my hoo-ha. Like what? Like, so realistically, were they bad back then, or were they judging because they couldn't get a piece of it? And now they get a piece of it. Now everybody's a content creator. I mean, who was it? I think it was Denise Richards' daughter, who is Charlie Sheen's daughter.
I talked about that on my podcast.
And she's like, I'm a sex worker, but she's like, that doesn't mean I'm doing the act. It just means that I'm working in a realm where it's sexual and it's sexual of nature. But I think everybody should get out of the fact of calling these people OnlyFans models.
Yeah.
OnlyFans content creators. Like, no, you're an OnlyFans sex worker. You're working in the realm of sex. And the same stink you didn't want to deal with these porn ladies because you were like, oh, they're porn stars, they're nasty. That was the name that they had. You knew them as humans. I knew them as humans. I hang with Nikki Benz every time I go to LA, and people are like, oh, you hanging with her? I'm like, you think we're naked somewhere? We're eating at, at Roscoe's. Like, what I'm saying?
Nice.
Like that's because she's fam. But I never want to see her naked. I mean, I know I've seen her naked a lot, but I'm saying I don't go there to see her naked. I can see her naked online. So I think we should be real about the OnlyFans thing. So, hey, if you're going to get that OF check, call yourself a sex worker and be proud.
Have you ever had somebody show you, a person you knew that had a private OnlyFans that was kind of low key?
I had somebody show me a photo from my ex-wife's OnlyFans.
Oh God, she's on OnlyFans?
Yeah. Yeah, she is. Somebody showed me a picture, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Look at that." I'm like,
you know what's funny?
I was like, I was married to her. I don't need to see that. You know,
so funny.
And they were like, "Yo, you don't care about this?" I'm like, "Not at all."
Do you think she's doing it out of spite at all, or
no? I think she's doing it as a hustle. I think everybody out there is doing it. I just think you need to just be honest with it. It's a sex worker position. You know, it is. And even if you're selling panties, that's sex. Ain't nobody buying them for no ethical reasons. That's sex work.
I don't think my ex is on OnlyFans, but I had so many people tell me she's posing in like lingerie and all this on social. And I'm like, if there was ever a sign that she's no longer yours and she is everybody's, it's moments like that where you go, wow, the person I used to cuddle with and that is now, she is everybody's.
Well, I mean, you belong to the streets. That's true.
Yes.
But then again, nobody's touching you, so it ain't that bad.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I can look at it for what it's worth. I mean, I never am going to be like, you know, dating somebody who's out there about the streets, but we talked about it on the air where people are like, listen, my girl does content. She shoots content. I have a friend of mine who paid for a lot of their wedding. Like they were engaged and they started doing content. They shoot content together and they promote it together. So I'm like, people are watching you bang out, which is kind of weird. You know, but if you're doing it with your husband and y'all see a check coming in every month, who could be mad at it? I mean, you're building a new house, you know, with a grotto and all this other crap. It's like, yo, you're killing it.
Look at Lisa Ann. She's a baller in life.
But she's also so much more. Her sports savvy is cracking.
She used to go on Beckles and Retro when I was the producer. She knows more than people on TV.
I listen to her on, people always ask me, how do I kill at fantasy sports? One of my secrets is that I listen on Sirius XM Fantasy Radio.
Yeah.
Because they just have great content and she is always on there. And I'm like, yo, she's killing. Like, I mean, she banged out a lot of the rookies that were in that game.
Hell yeah.
And honestly, like basketball, she loved, football, she loves, but she's made her way through some locker rooms and she's held it. You know, there'll be a book one day, I'm sure. But she's held it close to the vest, but she is definitely on her sports thing. I thought it was always as an angle to get at some athletes, but it's really because she has it in her.
Remember that selfie that guy from Notre Dame took of him and her in bed?
Yeah.
That was legendary, bro. I was like, good for you, my man.
I
good
mean,
for
hell
you.
yeah. You got to give him a golf clap. Think about that. Lisa Ann? Are you crazy? Like, do you know how, I mean, and back in the day, she was like, she's thin now, she's older or whatever. She's still sexy as all get out. But boy, back in the day, oh boy, she was just eights. She was curves everywhere. She's fine.
I've been a fan for 15 years, and I had a few of her videos that I downloaded like in 2008 on my computer, and my dad went through my hard drive and wiped it. So yeah, I could never forgive him again because it was that thing, Nail and Palin.
Oh, yeah.
That was a solid flick.
I just mentioned that the other day. I'm like, when we were talking about Sarah Palin, I'm like, oh, my God, because I didn't know. I was asked on Beat the Freaks. We do this thing, Beat the Freaks, every morning. And I was asked which is the largest state. And I said Texas. And they were like, no, it's Alaska. And I'm like, damn, I forgot about Alaska. I'm like, damn. And it's hard to forget them up there in the freaking top because you never go. But then I'm like, it is that big? They're like, dude, it's monstrous. And I'm like, no wonder old girl could see Russia from her house. And then they were like, Sarah Palin? I'm like, yeah, by the way, Nailing Palin, great cinematography. that was pretty good. Dude, I thought it was fire.
I think it's a dead tie between Beat the Freaks and Mike Calta's Sporkle for the most famous games in this town. I mean, everybody that I've brought up your show to has gone, oh yeah, I love Beat the Freaks. I love Beat the Freaks.
Those games win. Just a little radio secret, because I know radio people kind of rock with you. Those kind of games are important because you have somebody who's playing on the air to get the prize, but the people who are not on the air get a chance to play along in their car.
Yeah.
And when we speak at schools, every kid in there, like, I mean, there's a lot of kids who are listening to streaming now. There's a lot of kids that are making their moves or whatever, and they're not finding radio in the same place that we used to find it on the actual dial. They find it other places. But these kids are all saying that they play Beat the Freaks. They're like, we love it because my mom is in the car trying to win, and we're in the car playing along too. So they're kind of doing their own kind of Beat the Freaks in the car. And I think that that's a money thing. Same thing with Plead the Fifth. We do that just because we stole that from Andy Cohen on the Housewives channel Bravo. And he would bring people in and ask them 3 questions. So we're like, well, let's flip it and let's do it as a character development thing, because you got to learn stuff about Davi. You got to learn stuff about Meredith. When we bring in people and let them play like Babs or Joey Franchise or any of the people like Stiff that came in, we bring in people like one day you'll probably be in there. We'll be like, hey, man, come in and Plead the Fifth, where you have to answer every question that you're asked except one.
I really want to do it. I'll answer everything. I have been an open book for the last 8 years.
Yeah, you really do kind of tell it. You know, I've listened to this show where you talk that talk.
Oh yeah,
you're not shy.
I don't have any reason to be shy. I'm a slut.
Were you ever shy though? When you first started doing this, because I know it was a while. When we first did your podcast before, you said, what was it, 5 years ago?
Yeah, I wasn't ready.
I had a great talk with you, but you weren't the dude that you are now. I don't know if you're getting it more now. I don't know if you came into your lane or whatever.
So I don't talk about the past a lot, but I lived with my ex-girlfriend for 2 years, and she taught me how to clean. She taught me how to be more like a man and dress. And then when we broke up, I just took everything she taught me and I've used it in the last 9 months, and I've almost been able to reinvent myself, because people are like I looked myself up on Reddit. I don't know why I do it. And there was a page from 7 years ago. I looked
myself up on Reddit.
Yeah.
Said no one
says a
with
narcissist.
A penis. Said no one with a penis. Nobody's looking themselves up on Reddit.
I don't know. I love myself some self, my man.
I mean, have you Googled yourself? You see what the world is saying about you?
Oh yeah, there's some people talk smack, but I love it. If you want to make it in radio, not everybody's gonna like you.
I think that nobody is gonna hate you for Googling yourself, but it's just I think it's hilarious. First of all, I think you giving your ex credit for the new 2.0 you is growth. That shows that you on your big boy level.
I'm not going to ever talk to that person again, and I wish her nothing but the best, but I got to give her flowers for changing me.
No, I think you should. And honestly, just as a big homie advice, I have made it a practice that I keep in a great relationship with everybody I've broken up with.
Yeah.
Even if it ended badly. I reach out to them if I'm in their city. I'm like, hey, I don't have to see you, but I just want to let you know I'm in your city, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, let's get dinner. It's free meal to them or whatever, or maybe it's catch up time. But with social media, people get up on you a little bit, what you're doing a little easier. But there's only one ex that I don't talk to, and it's because she pretty much is it's too hard. So let's not communicate, and I'm like, all right, cool.
I've had radio people recently give me some advice saying that if the girl you're talking to is really about radio and really about what you do, then you got to watch out for that, because you should date a girl who likes you for the other parts of you, not just the radio part.
Yeah. I mean, there are ladies out there who love the shine. They love the access. They love the backstage.
Oh, yeah.
They love, am I getting the pass? If I'm dating a girl and she's like, do I get VIP passes? Then I kind of know, where it is. And I don't have no problem with that, because I got passes on deck. But if that's what that relationship has to be, then I'm not going to walk around with you on my arm introducing you to people.
Yeah.
Because I know you're a BBD. You for the bigger, better deal. But if you're a girl who's about me and you're like, oh, I want to come to your show, it's you think you got an extra ticket? And I'm like, nah, girl. I'm like, you good. I mean, there was times last damn show in Wild Splash, the last damn show more specifically, because there were specific seats, I would have a whole row. I would have a whole row of friends that was just there. Not just chicks, but I'm saying the girl and her 2 friends and my barber, my trainer, what I'm saying? The whole row of people that I had to buy too. It wasn't they got them for free. It was I'm going to buy these for my people to make sure they enjoy the show because they want to support. So those are the ones that's going to be the riders for you, not the ones that want to get into the locker room and kind of embarrass you.
What are some of your favorite memories of Wild Splash?
Digital Underground performing. We brought them up, and of course, Shock G is from Tampa. A kid that pretty much just Humpty Dance, Do What You Like, same song like that. Just watching them up there on stage, and then watching the young audience from Greenwood see Shock G and his greatness. That was incredible. The Roots came. We had Wayne and the Roots one year. And I remember it was my favorite because watching Black Thought, if you've never seen them on the Jimmy Fallon show, there's a prolific band. They're the hip hop's best, one of the best bands in the game. And it's Questlove on the drums. I mean, it's, Kamar on keyboards. I mean, this is like the Roots are crazy. And when we had them on stage, like it was like literally kids chanting Weezy, 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 because they were ready to see Wayne. And the Roots were doing a crazy show. They had beats going where he was just freestyling, and they went to Skinnerd, then they went to a country beat, then they went to, like, they just kept changing up the music, and he just kept killing it. And when they walked off the stage, Questlove looked at me, he was like, man, our people. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I can't be mad at the little kids. He's like, but if we put everything we owned on cribs and we wore truck jewelry where they saw all the diamonds, they would have wanted us to be up there like crazy. But because we just the Roots and we just up there just real musicians and gave them, he was like, we were killing it at that point when they started chanting for the homie. I'm like, you heard that? He was like, hell yeah, we all heard him. It's like, it was like 2,000 kids up front saying, Weezy, because they were ready for Wayne. And they like, because Cash Money and the whole thing behind that was the superstar that they were ready to see, and they weren't appreciating the artistry. And that was a heartbreaking thing, but it's one of the most memorable things about music. Just people believe your press release.
So what happened with Baby?
I mean, the Baby killed it the first time we brought him. He was kind of feeling himself this past year when we brought him, and he didn't get on the plane. His show time was the time he left North Carolina.
Oh my God!
And so he landed here like private 2 hours late, and then we had to have like police escorts bring him to like get him over here quickly. And I mean, we were past time, so I ended up, we are not really cool right now because he was mad that I only paid him 50% of his money. And, I was like, yo, dude, you are late. I'm going over. I have to pay extra for police. I have to pay extra to the city. I'm not paying you your whole number. And it turned into a nasty situation with his label, his representation. They're like, he is not going to be happy. I'm like, bro, I'm not happy. You can't leave, just be irresponsible and leave when you're supposed to hit the stage. Can't do that. So
he seems to have not gone away, but I don't really hear as much about the Baby nowadays.
I mean, we're playing his new song now, Shake Something. I mean, and it's trying to make it a little bit of headway. My man Nino from Interscope hit me the other day and was like, yo, he's like, we might be able to get him back now because he got canceled for a while.
He did get canceled.
He got canceled for some stuff that he had said down at Rolling Loud, for the whole Danny Lay situation when he kind of kicked her out of the house, which honestly, if he keeps his mouth shut about this Danny Lay thing, he might be able to get back because now she's got a DUI down there where she damn near killed somebody a couple weeks ago from Memorial Day weekend. So if he could stay clean out of that, maybe he'll make his rise back into there. But he really pissed some people off with that whole show thing. And I mean, I don't hold grudges, but I also don't pay you full rate if you do half a job. So
I just can't imagine how mad he was just being like, why am I only being paid half? Just somebody with that big of an ego. Like I can imagine they go off, bro.
There have been, in all of the Last Damn shows and Wild Splashes that we've done, I mean, we've had marketing directors like Drew and like Tom who have had to walk in places with a duffel bag with cash and then had to tell somebody they wasn't paying them all their money. And these big dudes get around you like, no, I don't think you understand, homie. But they can't rob you. But they trying to entice you to do it, but you got to stick to your guns. He's like, nah, man, you guys had to be here by this time. We had to go into these expenditures. I'm only paying you this amount. And I mean, and most people understand it. I mean, the Migos showed up late for us and we had to pay him half. And they tried to fight homie in the room. It's like, because he's the money guy. He had to come and get all of us so we can go in there and explain it to him. And it was either going to be a squab or it was going to be
bad and bougie.
It was going to be a problem, but on stage, I mean, God bless, but Takeoff was up there so in the bag, like, rest in peace. But he was trying to tie his shoe for like 20 minutes of the set. He was just like wasted, falling over and stuff. And it's like, and they, when they came in, they knew they were late. And they were late when they were traveling. And we were like, yo, like we're pushing it. And I mean, Luda went on longer. And, we had people stretching it. And he even asked, Luda was like, can I use this suite up here? I just want to watch the, little homies. And he went up there and he came down. He was like, wow. He's like, and they was late too. He's like, man, that's such a shame. He's like, they got such a name right now. And, you know, and I mean, and like I said, God bless, Takeoff, you know, definitely is somebody who we would wish was still here, because I would wish the Migos were still together, because I don't think they're ever going to make any great music separately as they did doing that whole give and go that they were doing with all three of them together. And seeing that and seeing him lose his life over a dice game, which these dudes are too rich to even be involved in.
Yeah.
That's where it gets like, you know, we can have professional football players. We can have like big time hockey players. We can have all of these great celebrities here in Tampa. But if we allow them to think it's necessary to get put in peril because they out here in the streets and they still want to hold their credibility, then, you know, we're failing. So, you know, we have to look at it and just be like, hey, the next generation that's coming up to get a bag, don't be out there throwing dice. We don't want that.
Have you ever given that advice to any rappers on or off air?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, locally and at large. I mean, me and Jeezy have had some real big conversations back in the day when he was still trapping. Tay Bay, who is a local guy here, and he went to jail for a little bit, but when he came out, we had Wild Splash. I mean, he had a record that was going on, and when we talked at Wild Splash, I was telling him about his opportunities, and he reached out to me afterwards. He was like, "Yo, I got to tell you," he's like, "Man, that talk we had was real." And he said, so I appreciate it as a big homie. Because I'm like, yo, I'm not telling you because I'm a powerful dude. I'm just telling you because I'm older than you. And somebody told me, you know, in this radio thing. And I'm like, yo, let me tell you, people out here talking about you, man. You got an opportunity. Don't lose it. So it is what it is. I'm not patting myself on the back for it, but I'm like, we all got to do it.
Now, for people that want to check out your show, how can they listen?
Wild app. It's Wild 94.1. It's a free app. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio as well. Terrestrially, it's on Wild 94.1 right here in Tampa, 94.1. And follow me on all of the socials at I am Orlando Davis.
Well, dude, it's been a lot of fun having you on the show, and keep up the good work.
Nah, man, listen, I want to salute you, man. You're hustling in here. Like, you making yourself known. And
Appreciate that.
I'm glad for that, because a lot of people don't have that energy right now.
I know. I have to keep grinding every day. I mean, the caffeine helps and working out helps.
We don't get you off that caffeine. But you're doing it, though. Like, that's where you hanging with MJ, you rolling with them for a couple weeks, you going out with Buck, you know, just in here in it is going to be valuable for you. It's going to keep being valuable for you. So keep at it, man.
Thanks, homie.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour.